lot of financial advice assumes that you'll be married when you retire.
Kind of crazy, right? When you think about how life happens, that is not always the case. So today we're asking our money expert about the ups and downs of retiring single. Dustin Smith from Wealth Enhancement Group joins us now. And Dustin, so many things can happen, whether it's a premature death of a partner or someone who chose to remain single through their life or divorce or whatever. Plenty of people are retiring single, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, one of the things that we find out when we talk to people who are retired single is that, you know, their costs of retiring might actually be much higher than they had expected. And, you know, I think all you got to do is speak with someone who is a widow or widower. And what you will find out is that at the death of their loved one, their expenses did not get cut in half. And you know, because I think if you think about it, whether it be your property taxes or your heating bill, they stay the same regardless of how many people are living in your home.
The other thing, Dustin, too, is here in this country, a lot of times when you have people who are sick, it's their loved ones who take care of them first, especially their spouse. So if your spouse is no longer there, you really have to think hard about who might take care of me as I get older and how much money that might cost.
Yeah, because as you said, one of the kind of unspoken benefits of having a partner living with you is that, as you said, if you become sick or frail, you have a built-in caretaker. That is why it's so important for single people to explore things such as a long-term care policy. That way you may have the means available to help pay for someone to come into your home and care for you should you need it.
Let's talk about some of the nuts and bolts of this, because this changes your Social Security too, right?
Yes. When we think about Social Security, often what people are planning on is, you know, how to do so if you are married. For example, married couples typically want to have one benefit grow to be as large as possible. That way, if one of them were to die, regardless of who's living, they take over the larger of the two benefits. However, if you're single, that calculus changes. Often what we might see is for single people, it may make sense to start Social Security earlier, because if they were to pass away, no one will ever receive that benefit that was allotted to them.
And what you're just talking about right now is one of the good reasons why it's important to understand that you still need to do some sort of estate planning. And estate planning isn't just for people with big, giant estates. This is really for everybody to take a look at what would happen as we get older.
Yeah, our systems are set up in a way that make it decently easy to transfer assets from one spouse to another at the death of one of them. However, if you are single, it's extremely important to set up an estate plan. That way, your assets can then go to maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a charity. Because once again, if your estate plan does not call that out, those assets will not go to those people.
All right. Good stuff to remember, Dustin. Good conversations to have, too. Dustin Smith, Wealth Enhancement Group. Thanks, Dustin.